Cindy O'Quinn is an Appalachian writer who grew up in the mountains of West Virginia. In 2016, Cindy and her family moved to the northern woods of Maine, oh, poor dear, where she continues to write horror stories and dark poetry because it's so good. Cindy is a 4-time Bram Stoker Award final nominee. Her poetry has been nominated for an Elgin, Riesling, and Dwarf Star Awards. Cindy, it's yours.
Lydia, did I ever tell you about the time I walked into your room? Lydia stared dead ahead and did not acknowledge her sister's presence in the room, much less the question she had asked. Rose continued, I was 13, so that would have made you 9, almost 10. I remember because it was the year after Mom almost killed Dad. Anyway, I walked into that pitiful little room of yours. Remember, you had the one at the end of the hall. The paint on the walls was horribly cracked, and regardless of repainting, the cracks came back like dark veins bleeding through under thin skin. I don't even think it was a bedroom at all, more like a storage closet. But you were so excited to have your own room when we moved into that old house. I walked in, not all the way, but just inside the door, and there you were on the floor, your stubby little index finger in a wad of your ginger hair, twirling it round and round. It was a nervous habit that you held on to for years. And you had these makeshift dolls. Friggin' hideous monsters would be closer to the truth. And you were talking to them. They were lined up in a row, at least 3 of them. And you were whispering so soft and sweet to them, like they were precious little angels. Do you want to know what else you did? You leaned over real close and put your ear next to one of the dolls' mouths. That image haunts me to this day. It's burned into me, and I'll not soon forget it. I get chills thinking about that grotesque thing possibly murmuring to you, speaking some angel or demon language that only you, its creator, could understand. Did they speak to you? Did they call out your name when you grew lonesome without them near you or you near them? I left your room without saying a word because I was afraid of you, Lydia, my little sister, the one I was supposed to protect and look after. I watched you all the time after that. It's hard to believe, but you never knew it. You never felt me near. Or maybe you did. I watched as you gathered parts to make your little followers, or whatever they were. Rubber arms tossed from passing car windows along the road, decapitated plastic heads that were shaved and no longer wanted left in the park. You hit the jackpot at the town dump. Entire dolls sometimes, but you still rearrange them with other parts. Old marbles for eyes, buttons for ears, scissors, and even a machete for an arm. All held together with string, electrical tape, and school glue. And they were never complete until you painted their nails black to match your own. You had 6 little ones as your captive audience. More than just a tidbit creepy, sis. We never really talked about religion. It was another one of those things that I just assumed. I mean, we each wore the tiny wooden cross necklaces on leather cords. I thought you knew what that represented. Do you remember that Christmas when the Baptist church ladies brought those and other gifts for us? I don't think Mom would have accepted the presents from them had we not been peeking in from the kitchen. I'm not sure why, but it was as if though she thought the gifts were poisoned by those women. I don't mean literally, but they weren't given with the best intentions or something. Hell, I'm not sure what I mean. I do know that within a few months, one by one, those gifts disappeared, all but the necklaces around our necks. Do you remember how Dad cried when Mom made him leave? It wasn't long after she'd nearly killed him. I wondered if maybe you knew why she wanted him dead. I didn't know a man could cry like that. I had never seen it before, and I haven't since. He cried himself a river, and he got drunk and almost drowned in it. How twisted is that? Our dad drowning in a river of tears, or a bathtub, whatever. People don't stay together forever anymore, not husbands and wives anyway. For years, I blamed Mom for making Dad leave. I knew there couldn't be a good enough reason for her to split up our family. I hated her for not telling me. I convinced myself there wasn't a reason. She was just being a bitch, a ding-dang bitch. Remember when we used to say ding-dang it to everything? We were happy then, ding-dang it. Surely you remember Mom losing her mind. What a fine and dandy time that was. It was just enough to bring the church ladies back here to have another looky-loo. They certainly got more than they came for when Mom told them that their snooping hadn't worked when they had been there the first time, sent by dear old Dad. And it sure as hell wasn't going to work now that he was gone. Lydia, that interaction between Mom and the church ladies confused me for a good while. But it eventually came to me. Dad had found religion, and those gifts were from him. That's why Mom wanted rid of them, and she would have done away with every last one had we not kept those crosses around our necks all the time. I tried to get all the answers out of her, but her end was so near. It was useless. Her eyes were glazed over like one of your zombie dolls. And then poof, Mom was gone too. I was 18, so of course I was given guardianship over my little sister. Oh, how sweet it was in the beginning. You loved me then. Just me taking care of my fragile younger sister. Fragile or not, those hideous creations had to go. What would people have thought? That you were weird? And I couldn't have that. The good people in the neighborhood wouldn't have donated to weird, but they certainly donated to orphans. That's what we were, you know. Everyone in the neighborhood, as well as the church ladies, had a field day doting over us. And the donations seemed endless. All good things eventually end, or whatever the hell the saying is. You grew up, and you wanted to leave. Leave me. That fragile little girl who'd grown up talking to angels that were made from her love and plastic parts that no one else wanted. Ungrateful. You were so ungrateful. If you only knew what I did for you. I kept Dad happy. I kept him from visiting your pitiful little room late at night. And when Mom went crazy, I kept you safe from catching her madness. It was contagious as hell. I bet you didn't know that. Lydia sat stiff, ankles permanently crossed, hands folded neatly in her lap. A rusted zipper served as a no longer speaking mouth. Mismatched marbles where eyes used to be. Dozens of smelly cardboard pine trees hung in her hair and on her clothes, held in place by clothespins, a failing effort to mask the rot. Rose added a fresh coat of black polish to her sister's yellowed nails to match her own. The end.